Okay, so let's get right into it. When we think about building a massive, defensible business, especially in AI, our minds usually go to one place: monopolies, building a fortress, right? Well, what if that's all wrong? What if the future, the trillion-dollar future, isn't about fortresses at all, but about open, thriving ecosystems? That's the huge shift we're going to break down.
So to really get a handle on this shift, we've got to start with a number. I mean, a number so big, it's just impossible to ignore. It's basically a giant flashing sign that the entire game is changing.
Yeah, that's $100 billion. And look, this isn't some crazy company valuation or a market cap number. No, no, this is the actual price tag for one single strategic move, a move that's literally rewriting the rules for AI. So, $100 billion for what exactly? What on earth are they building that requires that kind of cash? I mean, we're talking about a historically massive investment here. Well, it's a partnership between two of the biggest names you can think of, OpenAI and Nvidia. And their goal is ambitious, to say the least. They're aiming to build the largest AI infrastructure ever. Think about it. For OpenAI, this means basically unlimited computing power. And for Nvidia, a massive, guaranteed customer for years. It's the perfect win-win, all built on a literal mountain of cash. But here's the really crucial part. This isn't just about buying a ton of GPUs. It's much deeper than that. What they're really building is something called a capital flywheel moat. It's this self-reinforcing cycle where you pour in so much money that it creates an advantage that's, well, it's pretty much impossible for anyone else to catch up. And that strategy, it gives us a huge clue about where this whole thing is going.
Okay, so that deal creates a pretty incredible moat, right? But what's interesting is that it also shines a bright light on the problems with the old way of doing things. That traditional monopoly model that, let's be honest, most companies just can't afford to copy anyway.
You know, the idea of building a fortress and controlling everything inside, it sounds safe, right? But it's got these three fatal flaws. First, it gets super expensive to find new customers. Second, the whole thing is really fragile because it all depends on you and only you. And third, sooner or later, your partners and customers start getting suspicious of the black box you've locked them into. At its core, it's a closed system. You're trying to hoard all the value for yourself. But what ends up happening is you create something that's expensive to keep running, super easy to disrupt, and eventually, the very people you need, their partners and customers, just reject it. So, if building a fortress is basically a losing strategy for most, what's the alternative? Well, there's a totally different model popping up. And it's not built on control. It's built on connection and shared value. And when you put them side by side, the difference is just, it's night and day. The monopoly is collapsing under its own weight. You've got high costs, it's fragile, nobody trusts it. But the ecosystem, it thrives. It spreads the costs around, it gets stronger with every single new partner, and it creates this amazing upward spiral of trust. And look, this isn't just some nice idea on a slide. The money is already moving. Get this, Gartner is predicting that by 2026, a whopping 75% of B2B growth is going to come from ecosystems. That means for every $4 new made, 3 of them will go to collaborative networks, not closed-off platforms. That's huge. And what's wild is that this whole strategic shift is happening at the perfect time because AI adoption itself is just exploding. We're talking nearly 80% of organizations using it by 2025. All of those new users, they're creating this massive demand for solutions that are open, that are collaborative, that can actually scale. And the prize for getting this right? Well, it's enormous. The AI market is on a collision course with $1 trillion by 2031. So the choice you make right now, monopoly or ecosystem, is pretty much going to decide who gets a slice of that massive pie. So really, it all boils down to this one simple, powerful truth. Ecosystems are just scaling way faster than monopolies can defend themselves. Collaboration is winning. Control is losing. It's that simple. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually do it? How does your organization build a real defensible advantage when the world is moving toward open ecosystems? The answer seems to be in building what's called an AI ecosystem network, and the most important word there is dynamic. See, this isn't a moat you dig once and then just defend. It's a living, breathing system that literally gets stronger and stronger the more people use it. Think of it like a flywheel. You start with some proof of concept. That proof builds trust, and that trust gets other people to participate, and their participation leads to reinvestment back into the whole system. And with every single turn of that wheel, the entire network gets stronger, faster, and way more valuable. So what you end up with is a moat that's naturally resilient because, hey, it's supported by tons of partners. It can scale across all sorts of different industries. It gets more defensible the bigger it gets. And maybe the most important part, it's accessible. You do not need $100 billion to get your own flywheel spinning. Okay, so what does all of this mean for you? Let's break this down into a really clear playbook, depending on where you sit in an organization. Yeah, the call to action is a little different for everyone. If you're on a board, thinking about ecosystems isn't just a strategy discussion anymore. It's a core part of your governance duty. For CXOs, your job shifts from managing internal silos to orchestrating external coalitions. And for founders, the message is crystal clear. Stop just building features and start building flywheels. So the message here is really clear. We are absolutely at a turning point. That old school way of building a dominant company by walling yourself off, it's ending. A new era is rising, and it's all about collaboration and shared value. And all of this leaves us with one last really critical question. As this new world takes shape, you really only have two choices. Are you going to be the one building the new AI moat, or are you going to be disrupted by somebody else's? The clock is ticking.